Australian touring car action now, the 9th round of the series from Wanneroo, and series leader John Bowe has problems. After a crash during the dash for cash, the car's severely damaged and he will have to make his way through the field. Title rivals Peter Brock and Glenn Seaton start from the front row.
10 seconds away from the start, the two Bridgestone men, Peter Brock and Glenn Seaton, the class of the field. They're up front, the light turns to green, and gun-ho Glenn tries to get it, but Rocky's up smartly. Perkins goes to the outside, Mazura comes down the inside. Jones is out on the grass, he needs a lawnmower. They head into the right hand, and Bowe got away pretty gingerly, but he's made a good start, and they all go through turn number 1. But, as you can see, Glenn Seaton and the Peter Jackson Falcon gets up to lead the two HRT Commodores.
Look at Larry Perkins setting up the HRT car here. Dives down the outside of Mazura as he got him covered under brakes. Larry's on a real charge here. Very impressive run from the Castrol Commodore. Not able to do anything about that, as our race cam shows very clearly. Larry gets squeezed on the inside.
Yes, he did. That's Thomas protecting.
8 laps into this 30-lapper.
Now, here he goes. Knocks, looking for the inside, but he backed it off on him. Now they come across the strike again, and Perkins pulls alongside. They're side by side at the moment, under braking now for the right-hander. That's Brock just ahead.
And he's got him too. Cuts across in front of Mazura. Very nice move from Larry, but Mazura comes back on the inside. Just had the front of the Mobile Commodore into the rear quarter panel of Perkins' car, but no touch. And Perkins moves up and the crowd are cheering. Oh, there's a Coke car in trouble. Is that Crompton? Car number 7. Way off there in the Sahara Desert. Smoke coming out of the car, and he will stay there for the remainder of this heat.
Alan Jones, meanwhile, has made up a lot of ground here. Comes up down on the inside. Hey, out of the way. Well, let's go some racing.
John just turned in so late there, and by the time he realised where he was, Jones was well in alongside him. There's nothing he could do. Pushed out of the way. Jones moves up again, so Bowe now starting to struggle for a bit of speed.
Not so much pushed out of the way, passed.
Passed out of the way.
Coming downhill. So Jones is a big mover, and he was here last year. In the meantime, Thomas Mazura has Tony Longhurst hanging off to the right-hand side of the road as they come down here. Jones will be up to keep them company very, very shortly. John Bowe slipping back through the pack, so that makes Brock's advantage, and it is starting to tighten up. Scaife has just come on strongly, and his car is shod by Yokohama's, and Dick is sitting in behind Bowe, just playing rear gunner for him.
Oh, Wayne Gardner, your Coke cars are in trouble here today. Gardner off in the sand too.
The pause that distresses.
Mark Scaife qualified 11th, now up to 9th, and sniffing around the back bumper bar of Johnson's car.
Yes, he's looking threatening. He's close enough to be certainly a worry to Dick. And Dick pulls out ever so marginally, right hand down a bit, but Mark not quite close enough to be a threat under brakes at the bottom of the main straight.
Larry's gone for quite an unusual tyre setup on the car too, which should be interesting as he battles. Oh, we've got one coming past the start-finish line that's sounding very rough. It could be Alan Jones.
No, it's Longhurst, I think.
Well, one of those cars that came past us sounding very, very rough in that pack.
So as you can see, Longhurst has dropped back through there.
Oh, look at the smoke coming from the front of Jones' car. It's getting worse as the race progresses.
Longhurst pulls across and allows the rest of them to go through. So it was Tony Longhurst.
Yep. That's a great shame. More horsepower, more grip, looking very strong this weekend, but it's not going to be.
There's one more point for John Bowe.
John Bowe, every time this happens, he moves up a peg.
Well, here's Mark Scaife now starting to come into his own. Didn't get a very good run in qualifying yesterday. Was out of the top 10.
Once again, Dick just pulls over a little. There's no intention there to want to pass Bowe. And Scaife, amazingly, can't do anything about it.
Oh, Wayne Gardner's gone into the sand again. Exactly the place he came off only a few laps ago. So let's see if he can get out this time. He was lucky. I think he's dug a bit deeper here.
I think he's in there.
I don't think even the pitching wedge is going to get him out this time. He is stuck fast. 29 laps as they come across the start-finish line this time around. There's Alan Jones in trouble. The car has been sick and dying on him as he's tried to keep it going, but just couldn't bring it to the finish line.
Jones ready to step out.
We don't see this very often, but it is a tough job to keep two cars running. It's hard enough to keep one car running.
Absolutely right. Car number 30. About to get, I believe, the last lap board as he comes around. That's Glenn Seaton. And I thought I detected smoke. He's got smoke coming off the inside, off the front.
He has a lot of smoke coming out of the inside.
Exactly the same situation as Alan Jones' car. The smoke is coming from the same point.
It's as if the cars are coming down on the wheels. I don't know whether You have shock absorber leakage.
Look at the damage to the front of the guard there too, Alan.
Exactly the same scenario that unfolded for Alan Jones. The only good thing Glenn will know is that it took a long time to stop Alan's car. And hopefully, but Brocky will be smelling that smoke, and he'll be smelling that checkered flag too.
Well, they've got not too far to go. If he can get into this turn here and just bring the power on it right, he'll have Brock on his tail as they exit that turn. Here comes Peter Perfect after him. They've got half a lap remaining. A run up the top of the hill here, and then a run down the other side. Brock starting to get the air in the nostrils now. Now the really hard-pitched run at the right-hander, but I don't think he's going to do it. Seaton's car might be wounded mortally. They close him up in the last corner. The Ford of Glenn Seaton gets out, accelerates. Smoke comes out of the outside front, but Seaton brings it across the line to beat Peter Brock. And third place is going to go to Larry Perkins, who will just survive to beat home Thomas Mazzera for fourth, and John Bower will pick up fifth spot, Dick Johnson in sixth. Seconds away from the start. Race number 2 of round 9, the Shell Australian Touring Car Championship. Peter Brock now only 22 points behind the series leader John Bower, and they're set to go. The front row, Brock and Seaton. Green light on. Seaton wins the start, and Perkins up the inside here could take the lot of them. Bower goes up smartly as well. Could have something here before the first corner as they ran down here into the right-hander. And Peter Brock's going to have a major problem. Bower got away to a brilliant start, has hung him out to dry. There they are. They touched, actually, coming out of that corner.
Great start there from John Bower. He really leapt off that second row, almost got squeezed for space, was able to push through to third position. Brilliant start from the series leader. And Brock, he's just shuffled back a little bit in the pack. Johnson went out on the grass, actually, and managed to hold it back on the track. So a very fraught start to Heat 2 here today.
Yeah, Glenn away really beautifully again. He's really got this start down pat. He knows what he wants to do, but a fabulous start here from these two fellas, Larry and John. And John now challenging Larry going up the hill. Will be interesting when we catch them.
Well, he almost got him. He stuck his nose up inside the Castrol Commodore coming out of the loop that time. Didn't quite have the speed on him coming out of the corner up toward the hill, but he's in third position. I reckon he'd be very, very happy with that start. What a great start to Heat 2 for him.
Now Perkins will try and work his way across to the right-hand side of the racetrack to protect himself in the next turn. Bow comes down. There's one of the McCarthy actually went away bit on the wide side out of that turn. They go into the bottom corner, and now we have John Bower trying to pick up those points. Brock sits back one behind Bower, and they'll have to deal with Larry Perkins, who had no tyre problems whatsoever with his Dunlops in the first heat this morning.
Well, as Mike said on the start line, 22 points now, the gap between Peter Brock and this man, John Bower. Boy, it's getting tight in this championship chase, looking like going all the way down to Oran Park, and any extra points Bower can get here are going to be so valuable to him in that Sydney final. Look at him.
Bower up on the inside. Perkins went a little on the wide side. Peter Brock can see that now. The horsepower comes into play. John Bower, the Falcon, on the inside, and Larry trying to move across to the right-hand side of the circuit. They'll come down the hill, and they are pacing it out. This is flat strap, just on 180 kilometres an hour, and Bower gets it under brakes. He moves up one spot to second.
Brilliant move by John Bower under brakes there. He held Perkins side by side. No shortage of grunt from the Castrol Chevy, but John had just enough, and he's got a wheel mark on the side of the door to prove it. These guys have been running side by side.
Larry Perkins sits in here, carries our Castrol Oils race cam. There's Glenn Seaton disappearing out of that turn. John Bower just a touch sideways out of there. Perkins back in third. Brock is fourth. That's the order into the left-hander.
Terrific stuff. The two 50-year-old champions, multiple winners of Australian Championships and Bathurst here, side by side, bumper to bumper, going right down to the wire in Heat 2. Come out behind Perkins now. Johnson fills the mirrors of the 05 Commodore as they come over the hill. 250 kilometres an hour, approaching the braking area for pit straight. Look at Johnson. He darts one way, back the other way, right behind Brock under brakes.
Deary me, that was close.
He is pushing it. Dick Johnson is certainly not going to be outdone in this field, and he is harassing anyone that gets near him.
Keep in mind the championship situation here. He is playing rear gunner to John in the points, and boy, here's the man who is the biggest threat to Bower in championship season 95. Peter Brock, and Johnson is going to make him work for every point he gets.
Big slide there by Johnson as he came out of the pit straight hairpin.
Yeah, actually, we noticed when in the first heat this morning, just before he launched Neil Crompton into a sand trap, there was a huge amount of smoke off the tyre, so he's locked up something going down the hill here this morning and run into the back of Crompton.
Here we go, 05 coming up through the apex of the southern loop, up this hill. That's where the V8 torque really comes into it own. They flatten the gas pedal and shoot themselves up over this hill and then downhill into this tight left-hander.
Well, as we've seen in the first heat, these cars running the Bridgestone tyres, they take 4 or 5, maybe 6 laps to get up to their optimum temperature, and then they really start to fire. So Brock hanging in position now, in 4th position. Let's see if he starts to make some progress as these laps unfold. Seaton in charge from Bow. Perkins in 3rd, Brock, then it's Johnson, Longhurst, Scaife up into 7th position, Mazira, Richards and Gardner. That's the top 10.
Tony Longhurst nibbling away at the back of Dick Johnson here. He's certainly shown that his Castrol Ford is a threat for the future.
It's the battle for 2nd and 3rd. This is John Bow.
See, Bow was away from him earlier.
Yeah, he's really closed the gap, hasn't he?
He's closed up again. That's almost how JB started in the first heat this morning, got going early, and all of a sudden he had them all around him. And Larry is on the move and Brock is on the set. Brock has just picked up the tail of Larry Perkins, so they're not going to get away from Brock, and Dick Johnson sits one back behind them.
Seaton really is steaming away. 2.6 seconds the gap that last time around. He's doing exactly what he did in Heat 2, and look at this down the inside. Perkins actually takes Bow in an identical manoeuvre to what Bow did to Perkins only a few laps ago. Really cut and thrust amongst these two Dunlop cars, and there's Brock sitting right behind him.
You've got to feel confident about your car to be able to make a move like that when you throw all of the 1,300 kilos laterally. He's got to be able to hang on to it.
You see a little bit of defensive driving there, Al?
Well, he's entitled to do that.
I didn't say he wasn't. But look at Johnson. That's the problem. If Johnson drop kicks Brock, it'll be on for Young and Old.
It's a little bit dicey when that happens, so
See?
you can get squeezed off, and Brocky had to back off, or he would have been in the grass.
He had to back off there, and Longhurst takes advantage too, gives Dick a little bit of muscling up the inside. Move over, fella. Longhurst still side by side with Johnson. They'll run this way all the way through the S's, but Longhurst wins in the end.
Yes, he's on the inside now for this sweeper up onto the old pit straight. So a nice move there by Tony Longhurst. These guys are not fooling around. This is tough work, the decisions, the mental effort that has to go on to make these cars respond to their wishes. They're not on automatic pilot.
Peter Brock paying the price. Now there's Alan Jones, is it? Alan Jones out of the car. He cooked an engine in the first heat. That's all that smoke was coming from the car. They replaced it, a quick engine change, but it looks like more trouble for car 35. Not a good weekend for AJ. Look at Longhurst. He's been able to capitalise there. Pushes up behind John Bow. Boy, he's going like a train.
Now this is a beaut run here for the Yokohama team. Tony, long-time stalwart supporter of the Yokohama brand, and they've helped him enormously in his career, making dividends come through here at a nice time for their preparations for Bathurst.
I'll tell you what, there's nothing wrong with the Longhurst car. Now, John again, JB running the inside here of the track. Brock was halfway up there and pulled out.
Coming under fire from Longhurst under brakes, but John's taken the conservative line inside. There's nothing Tony can do about him there, and he'll switch back and cover the infield line so he's covered for the next corner. Good, strong defensive driving from Bow. He hasn't put a foot on yet, but like it's only lap 9 of this 30-lapper.
See, this has been coming, and I'm telling you, if Pete isn't smart enough to read it, there's 22 points in the championship, and I think Dick's concentrating on John more than what his own race is concerned. It just agitates him. As soon as he can get a little squint at the tail of the 05 car, it's on for Young and Old.
He's up there.
I've never seen Dick so inspired in a long number of touring car races. He's really just driving the wheels off this Shell 17 Falcon. Right behind Bow, Brocky. He's not going to let him get away. Lap times pretty well obviously identical at this stage of the race. Seaton now to 2.7 seconds the gap over Perkins in second, and then this great battle between Bow, Longhurst, Brock and Johnson.
Oh, isn't it nice to be in the breeze? If you're Glenn Seaton, he's away, and there's the man who runs second, Larry Perkins, the Castrol Commodore. Then the scrap that we've been watching with Bow third, followed by Longhurst, Peter Brock and Dick Johnson. Mark Scaife is behind them, but he can't do anything. In fact, he hasn't done too bad to even get up on their tails. Now, whether or not Brock has got to make a decision here shortly, and that is to make a concerted effort to either pass Longhurst, who has no real points in the championship, and Brock desperately, if he's already picked up 10 today, he needs to be in front of Bow.
It's hard to believe that Brocky's got the same car under him that he had at Malala a week ago when he came from the rear of the field to take second, and here he is now struggling a bit in 5th spot, struggling versus Glenn Seaton's position. I mean, he's certainly staying with this pack, but it just shows the competitiveness of this formula that 1 week away from a race where he performed so well,
And in front of this pack too, Alan, Larry's brought it down just over 2.2 seconds, the gap between Perkins and Seaton, so it's getting very fraught at the front.
I think Larry's doing a very fine job here this afternoon. This is an extreme.
Oh, this man attack!
He's gone, and it had to happen.
If he saves it, if he gets
Watch out, if there's more to come in the next turn. Watch Johnson.
Up the inside,
He's
and
up.
Brock's on the outside.
That's exactly what I've said. See, this has been on.
Oh,
well, that's Dick definitely throwing his tail out there at Brocky. And
well, it only had to happen. The pressure, lap after lap after lap. Longhurst getting tapped out. Just a little bit of contact there at a very fast part of the course. Glenn Seaton is coming gangbusters at the final part of the season. There's Larry Perkins in second position. Big gap there. There's Alf Barbagallo, who will be lapped. And there's our third place man, Tony Longhurst. Dick Johnson behind him with Peter Brock right on his hammer. So up the hill, back toward the pit straight once again. Brock filling the mirrors of Johnson's car. Johnson well up to the task. Blocks every move. Brock under brakes. Has a look down the inside. Hasn't quite got him covered. He'll have to follow him through to pit straight this time around.
There's Jimmy Richards going wide there in his attempt to stay with teammate Mark Scaife.
Got himself back on the track, no problem. But
it's a nasty corner, that right-hander off the fast back straight.
He'd been quicker if he'd gone straight through the pit alley like someone did in the Mazda once and come out the other side.
I don't know who that was.
I have no idea.
Here we go. Dick Johnson leading Peter Brock up through the S's. Right, left here now, just fading. And the right.
Great battle of tactics. It'll be interesting to see as these laps get toward the end whether Brock will figure discretion is the better part of valor and hang back in there just for the points, or have a real go at Johnson.
It's more than that. It's more than that. Dick's already locked up one now. Watch this. Watch this.
All it took. One little lock up, and Brocky capitalized on that mistake.
And did I detect a wave? Maybe I did. Downhill. I tell you what, if I was PB, I'd be getting to hell out of there as quickly as I can. I'd stick to put a couple of seconds on Dick and don't get hung up in any traffic.
Well, that moves him up to fourth position now, ahead of Johnson. Bow still running back at 11th spot. He's closing in on the Coke Commodore of Neil Crompton, but he's got a lot of work to do.
Longhurst has spun coming out of
He's coming backwards down the pit straight. The wheel was off, but somehow or other he spun in the pit straight. It's an unbelievable scene.
He was coming in for a stop-go penalty. I guess that is assessed against spinning John Bow. Dick Johnson and John Bow. So Bow will get the move by sign from Johnson, which he does. That enables him to get up one spot. So Dick was dropping back perhaps in the pack. He looked pretty strong 5-10 laps ago.
Bow up to 7th now. He's made some tremendous progress in the last few laps.
He's worked extremely hard to recover here, Mark, and to his credit, he didn't get mad and just throw the towel in. He's worked his way back after that skirmish with Longhurst.
Wayne Gardner right up behind Dick Johnson, and I wonder, having seen what happened down the loop last time around with Crompton and Johnson, is there going to be a serve up here? No, Gardner.
Wayne just wants the passing. And Dick would have looked in the mirror and thought, uh-oh.
Can I feel it yet?
So nice clean manoeuvre there from Wayne Gardner. 1.5 laps, 1 lap to go. We're on the final lap. Glenn Seaton crosses the start-finish line.
There's our race leader, no doubt about him.
No jumble here, Mike.
A perfect 2 race starts and 2 wins here today at Barbagallo Raceway in the West. That's going to help his championship points tally for today. Also Peter Brock as they exit that turn and work their way up the hill. They're on their final lap. And dearie me, if this guy could have had a couple of other things work out for him early in the season. He hasn't gotten away from Larry Perkins. The last quarter is coming up at Barbagallo Raceway. 2 starts, and it will be 2 wins today for the Peter Jackson teamster, Glenn Seaton, who takes the checkered flag. Larry Perkins right behind him as they went across the line. 3rd place is going to go to Peter Brock in car number 05. And 4th spot, a long way back, will go to Mark Scaife in car number 1.